Hello, sister and brother. The most important breakthrough in understanding vision begins with a simple but often ignored truth. Your sight does not begin in your eyes, it begins in your brain. Every ray of light that enters your eyes is nothing more than raw data until the brain interprets it, translates it, gives it meaning, and turns it into a picture you can understand. This means that when vision starts to decline, blurriness, slow focus, eye strain, difficulty reading, or trouble seeing at night, the issue is not always the eyes themselves. Sometimes the deeper problem lies in the neural pathways that process what the eyes are trying to send. And the surprising part is that many people go their whole lives without ever knowing this connection exists. The brain is responsible for more than 80% of the visual experience. The occipital lobe at the back of your head is the true screen on which your world is projected. The optic nerve is not a simple wire. It is over 1 million delicate nerve fibers bundled like a highway of information, transferring light signals at lightning speed. But this system depends on strong neural communication, healthy blood flow, and well-protected nerve cells. When any of these weaken, even slightly, it begins to feel like your eyesight is failing, when in reality, the brain's processing power is slowing down. Many people blame aging or think they just need stronger glasses. But they overlook the internal changes that make the brain slower at interpreting images. Chronic stress, inflammation, oxidative damage, nutrient deficiencies, poor sleep, and constant screen exposure exhaust the neural circuits responsible for vision. You may have noticed days when your vision feels foggy, even though your eye prescription hasn't changed. That fogginess is not from the eye lens. It comes from a tired brain struggling to keep up with visual demands. This is especially true after the age of 40, when the brain begins losing nerve cell efficiency. The pathways that once transmitted signals effortlessly begin to slow, affecting how fast you can focus, how clearly you see objects, and how quickly you adapt from bright to dim light. The misinterpretation many people make is assuming they need to treat only the eyes, eye drops, glasses, eye exercises, while they ignore the primary organ that controls the whole process. Treating the eyes while neglecting the brain is like polishing a camera lens while the processor inside is malfunctioning. Understanding this hidden truth changes everything. When you realize the brain is the root of your visual clarity, you begin to see why certain nutrients, especially those that nourish brain tissue, improve the way you experience the world. You begin to understand why some days your vision feels sharper when you're rested, hydrated, or mentally relaxed. And you start noticing the connection between your mood, your diet, your stress levels, and your ability to see clearly. Once this link becomes clear, the entire approach to vision health transforms from treating symptoms to strengthening the source. When people hear the phrase vision seed, they often assume it refers to a magical cure, but the truth is far more interesting and far more powerful. There are seeds that contain concentrated nutrients essential for strengthening the brain-eye connection. And when you understand why these nutrients matter, you begin to see how they support clarity, focus, and long-term visual performance. Vision does not depend only on the physical structure of your eyes. It depends on how efficiently your brain receives, protects, and processes the data your eyes collect. Certain seeds, tiny, modest, easily overlooked, carry the exact nutrients the brain relies on to stay sharp and responsive. Inside these seeds are potent compounds like omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, vitamin E, lutein, zeaxanthin, and plant based neuroprotective elements. These nutrients help in reducing inflammation around the optic nerve, protecting delicate neural tissue, and improving blood flow to the regions of the brain responsible for processing sight. The beauty of these seeds lies in how nature has packaged them, small, dense, portable sources of some of the most essential building blocks for cognitive and visual health. Just a spoonful a day can deliver more brain-supportive nutrition than many large meals ever do. Omega-3 fatty acids are especially important because they help maintain the fluidity and flexibility of brain cell membranes. When brain cells can communicate smoothly and quickly, visual signals travel faster and more accurately. This is why people who regularly consume omega-rich seeds often report improved mental clarity, sharper focus, and even better visual comfort. The brain is nearly 60% fat, and the eyes rely heavily on DHA. One of the key omega-3s to maintain the structural integrity of the retina and the optic pathways. When you supply your body with seeds rich in these fats, you directly nourish the foundation of your visual system. Antioxidants found in seeds act like shields against oxidative stress, which is one of the main drivers of age-related vision problems. Every time your eyes are exposed to sunlight, screens, pollution, or stress, free radicals are generated. These unstable molecules damage cells in both the eyes and the brain. Seeds rich in vitamin E and other antioxidants neutralize these free radicals before they can cause harm, preserving the health of nerve cells that transmit visual information. This is why people who incorporate antioxidant-dense seeds into their diet often experience less dryness, less fatigue, and a more stable sense of visual clarity throughout the day. Lutein and zeaxanthin, two pigments found abundantly in certain seeds, play a different but equally important role. They are known as natural sunglasses because they filter harmful blue light and protect the macula, the part of the eye responsible for sharp central vision. But what many people don't realize is that these pigments also support neural processing speed. When the macula is protected, the brain receives clearer signals, reducing cognitive strain and enhancing visual performance in low light conditions. These seeds do more than just protect, they energize. By supporting blood flow, stabilizing neural activity, and providing essential micronutrients, they help the brain maintain the quickness and precision needed for clear sight. Over time, this consistent nourishment strengthens the entire visual pathway. It's not about curing eyesight. It's about empowering the biological systems that make vision possible. And once you begin fueling your body with these nutrient-rich seeds, the difference becomes something you can feel, not just in your eyes, but in your focus, your mental energy, and your overall sense of clarity. Most people spend their entire lives trying to fix their vision by focusing only on the eyes, yet wonder why nothing truly improves. Glasses get stronger, eye drops become a routine, screen filters are added, but the deeper issue remains unchanged. This is why most treatments fail. They target the surface organs while ignoring the central system that actually produces vision, the brain. The majority of eye problems that people experience daily do not originate from the eyeball itself. They develop from disruptions within the optic nerve, the visual cortex, or the pathways that connect the two. When these pathways weaken, the eyes struggle to send clear signals and the brain struggles to interpret them. Think of it this way. If your camera lens is perfect, but the processor inside the camera is malfunctioning, the final picture will still come out blurry. Most vision solutions polish the lens but never repair the processor. This is the reason why so many people keep changing prescriptions even though their lifestyle, diet, and brain health remain unchanged. The eyes collect light, but the brain shapes it into meaning. If the brain is tired, inflamed, undernourished, or overloaded, the image you perceive becomes weak, slow, or unclear, no matter how advanced the eye treatment may be. Eye-focused treatments also miss the fact that the optic nerve is part of the central nervous system, not the eye itself. This nerve is responsible for sending over 1 million signals per millisecond. When inflammation, poor circulation, oxidative stress, or nutrient deficiency affects this nerve, your visual clarity drops, even if the surface of your eye is perfectly healthy. Yet common vision treatments rarely address nerve protection, brain oxygenation, or neural repair. They assume every problem can be corrected with external solutions, forgetting that the true machinery of sight lives inside the skull. Another reason treatments fail is that they overlook the role of blood flow. The brain is one of the most oxygen-demanding organs, and the visual cortex consumes a large portion of that oxygen. When circulation weakens, due to aging, stress, poor diet, or sedentary habits, the areas responsible for vision receive less nourishment. This results in slower processing, reduced focus, and more strain. Eye drops cannot fix this. Stronger glasses cannot fix this. Only improving the internal environment of the brain can restore the speed and accuracy of visual interpretation. There is also the matter of chronic screen exposure, which fatigues the brain far more than the eyes. Hours of digital light force the brain to constantly adjust, focus, process, and filter excessive visual information. Over time, this slows cognitive processing speed and creates the sensation of blurry or double vision, even when no structural eye damage exists. But instead of learning to support the brain, people continue adding more surface-level treatments. Blue light glasses, lubricants, magnifiers, none of which address the strained neural circuits. The truth is simple. Eyesight treatments fail because they rarely treat the source. The visual system is a partnership between the eyes and the brain. And when you support only one side of the partnership, the results will always be limited. Real improvements come when you nourish the brain, strengthen the optic nerve, enhance blood flow, and protect neural pathways. Only then does every other vision supporting habit begin to work the way it should. Inflammation and oxidative stress are two silent forces working against your vision every single day, yet most people have no idea they are the true culprits behind blurry sight, eye strain, and slow visual processing. These forces don't just affect the eyes. They attack the brain, the optic nerve, and the neural pathways that allow you to interpret the world clearly. When your brain is inflamed or overwhelmed by oxidative damage, even the strongest eyes cannot produce sharp vision. This is why people often experience sudden days of cloudy sight without understanding what caused it. The issue isn't always eye damage. It's the brain struggling to function under pressure. Inflammation is the body's natural response to stress, poor diet, pollution, lack of sleep, and even emotional tension. While small amounts are normal, chronic inflammation is destructive. It thickens blood vessels, slows oxygen delivery, and reduces the nutrients that reach your optic nerve and visual cortex. Imagine trying to read a book under dim lighting. That's how your visual system feels when inflammation restricts healthy circulation. The result is slower focus, more difficulty adjusting to light, and a constant feeling that your eyes are working harder than they should. Oxidative stress is equally damaging. Every time we stare at screens, step out into sunlight, or encounter environmental toxins, unstable molecules called free radicals form inside the body. These molecules attack healthy cells, especially nerve cells. Brain tissue and the optic nerve are extremely sensitive to oxidative stress because they require high amounts of oxygen. When oxidative damage accumulates, the neural pathways responsible for processing sight begin to weaken. This produces symptoms like visual fatigue, decreased contrast sensitivity, difficulty seeing at night, and a general sense of fogginess. What's interesting is how inflammation and oxidative stress feed off each other. One triggers the other, creating a cycle that gradually slows down the entire visual system. This is why someone can feel like their eyesight is rapidly declining even though eye exams show nothing structurally wrong. Their neural function is being compromised, not their eyeball structure. People often misinterpret this decline as eye weakness, when it is really the brain's diminished ability to interpret visual inputs accurately. Lifestyle choices intensify the problem. High-sugar diets spike inflammation. Lack of hydration thickens the blood, reducing oxygen flow. Sleep deprivation disrupts neural repair. Long screen hours overload the optic nerve with constant stimulation. Each of these adds a layer of stress to the brain, making vision clarity harder to maintain. Over time, the brain becomes exhausted, and the way you see the world becomes duller, slower, and less precise. What makes this issue even more serious is that most people attempt to fix it externally. They buy stronger glasses, use lubricating drops, or adjust their screen brightness, assuming the eyes are failing. But if the underlying inflammation and oxidative damage are left unaddressed, no eye-focused treatment can compensate for the internal strain. The visual system cannot function optimally when the brain is inflamed and the optic nerve is under oxidative attack. The only way to restore sharpness is to calm the inflammation, reduce oxidative pressure, and nourish the neural tissues responsible for turning images into sight. There is a simple truth that many people overlook. The brain and eyes thrive on consistency, not complexity. You don't need an elaborate program or expensive treatments to strengthen the neural pathways responsible for vision. What you need is a daily habit, a small, repeatable routine that delivers the exact nutrients and stimulation your visual system depends on. This habit, when practiced consistently, nourishes the brain, energizes the optic nerve, sharpens neural firing, and protects the delicate cells involved in sight. And one of the most powerful habits begins with nutrient, dense seeds that support the brain eye axis from the inside out. These seeds provide a concentrated supply of omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals that feed the neural circuits related to visual clarity. When consumed daily, they help rebuild the membranes of nerve cells, reduce inflammation around the optic pathways, and enhance the smooth transmission of signals from the retina to the brain. The body doesn't store many of these nutrients for long. It needs them supplied regularly. That is why a daily habit is more effective than any one-time solution. Just as you can't exercise once and become fit forever, you can't nourish your neural system occasionally and expect lasting results. But this habit is not only about what you eat, it's also about how you support your brain throughout the day. Pausing for a few minutes to relax the eyes, practicing gentle focusing exercises, or stepping outdoors for natural light can make a remarkable difference in how efficiently your brain processes visual information. We underestimate how much the brain craves rest, especially when dealing with the constant overload of digital screens. Each small break you give it allows the neural pathways to reset, recover, and fire more accurately. When combined with the nutrients from these seeds, the effect multiplies. Hydration is another part of this daily routine. The brain is nearly 3/4 water, and dehydration slows electrical communication between neurons. Many people walk around with low-level dehydration without realizing it, and one of the first symptoms is visual fatigue. Drinking enough water throughout the day ensures that nutrients can reach the optic nerve and visual cortex without obstruction. It helps the brain stay alert, responsive, and capable of interpreting images with clarity. Sleep also plays a vital role in this habit. During deep sleep, the brain repairs oxidative damage, clears metabolic waste, and strengthens synaptic connections. Without proper sleep, no nutrient, exercise, or habit can fully compensate. The visual system is one of the first to suffer when sleep is lacking, and one of the first to recover when rest becomes consistent. When these small daily habits, nutrient-rich seeds, hydration, rest, and light visual exercises, come together, they create an environment in which the brain can perform at its best. The visual pathways become more resilient, the optic nerve becomes better protected, and the brain's ability to process light signals becomes sharper. You start noticing that focusing becomes easier, the world looks more vibrant, and visual strain fades more quickly. This is the power of a consistent ritual. It supports the system that makes sight possible and gives your brain the fuel it needs to keep your vision clear and steady. Protecting your vision for life begins with a shift in mindset. Instead of treating eyesight as an isolated function of the eyes, you realize it is a long-term partnership between the brain, the optic nerve, and the visual processing centers that shape how you experience the world. When you focus only on the surface, glasses, eye drops, temporary fixes, you miss the opportunity to strengthen the deeper systems that truly determine how well you see. The goal is not quick changes, but lifelong preservation. And that requires a brain-focused strategy that supports the visual system today, tomorrow, and decades into the future. As we age, the brain naturally becomes more vulnerable to inflammation, reduced blood flow, slower neural signaling, and oxidative stress. These factors accumulate quietly over the years, gradually affecting how quickly and precisely the brain interprets visual information. Many people assume declining vision is inevitable, but research shows that brain health plays a far more important role than most realize. When you support cognitive function, protect nerve cells, and improve circulation, the visual system retains strength and resilience far longer than expected. This is why some individuals maintain sharp vision well into their 70s and 80s. They have inadvertently or deliberately preserved the brain that processes sight. One powerful step in this long-term strategy is supplying the brain with nutrient-rich foods, particularly seeds and natural sources of antioxidants, omega-3s, and neuroprotective compounds. These nutrients act as long-term reinforcement for the visual pathways. They help preserve the membranes of nerve cells, protect the retina from oxidative damage, and stabilize the optic nerve. Over time, these nutrients build a foundation that reduces the risk of age-related vision decline. Vision protection is not a single event. It is a nutritional commitment that compounds year after year. Long Term vision protection also relies heavily on maintaining healthy blood flow to the brain. Regular movement, stretching, and even brief walks throughout the day support oxygen delivery to the visual cortex. Physical activity is not just beneficial for the body, it is essential for the brain's ability to process sight. When blood flow improves, neural pathways operate with greater speed and clarity. This is why people who stay active often feel more mentally sharp and visually alert. The connection between circulation and vision is undeniable, and it becomes even more critical with age. Mental stimulation is another cornerstone of lifelong visual health. Activities that challenge the brain, learning new skills, solving puzzles, reading, or engaging in creative tasks, strengthen neural circuits. The stronger the brain becomes, the more effectively it communicates with the eyes. Cognitive exercises help maintain flexibility and responsiveness in the visual processing centers, keeping them youthful and adaptable even as the rest of the body ages. Equally important is managing stress. Chronic stress floods the brain with cortisol, a hormone that disrupts neural communication and reduces blood flow to the areas responsible for vision. Practices like meditation, deep breathing, and mindful relaxation are not just calming, they are protective. They preserve the integrity of the visual pathways by reducing inflammation and promoting balance in the nervous system. When these long-term habits, nutrient support, physical movement, mental stimulation, hydration, rest, and stress control are woven together, they create a powerful shield for the entire visual system. The brain remains sharp, the optic nerve stays protected, and the pathways responsible for sight remain strong. This is the essence of lifelong vision preservation, supporting the brain not just for today's clarity, but for a lifetime of seeing the world with strength, brightness, and precision. Thank you.